Hello everyone! Today we'll be learning grammar for IELTS Writing Task 2. My name is David, IELTS mentor and course creator of IELTS 7+. In this lesson, you're going to learn 3 sentence types that you can easily use to improve your IELTS Writing Task 2 essay. If you enjoyed this lesson, check out the full course IELTS 7+. There's a link in the video description. Welcome back, and in this lesson we'll be learning grammar for our IELTS Writing Task 2 essay. By the end of the lesson, you'll understand and be able to use a variety of different sentence types, which will definitely help you to score higher grades in your Task 2 essay. Now, grammar is a huge topic and we could spend hours learning new ideas and techniques. But I want to show you something that you can use quickly, so I'll be showing you 3 different sentence types that you can definitely use in your essay. Here is a quick look at the examiner's band descriptors, and they state to score a band 6 or higher, you must use a mix of simple and complex sentences. To score a band 7 or higher, you must use a variety of complex structures. So in other words, it's important that we understand and are able to use a few different sentence structures. One important thing to note is that we don't use the same sentence type again and again. Using them in the correct place and not too often will also help you score extra marks. The first sentence type we'll be looking at is a compound sentence. A compound sentence is 2 whole, complete sentences linked in the middle by a linking phrase or word. You can see to the left of this page I have my linking words table, and I'll show you a few examples now. Here is an example of a simple sentence. A simple sentence is one whole idea, and it contains a noun and a verb. They can be useful in our essay, but it's good to show a range of complex sentence structures. Here's the simple sentence extended with a linking word to create a compound sentence. Fossil fuels pollute the environment, therefore we should stop using them. Fossil fuels pollute the environment is a complete sentence, and also we should stop using them is a complete sentence or a whole idea. Instead of using a full stop to create 2 simple sentences, we use the word therefore to link these 2 whole ideas, and this gives us a compound sentence. Let's see another example. Fossil fuels pollute the environment, and furthermore, they will soon run out. So again, I've linked 2 whole sentences with the phrase and furthermore. This has created a compound sentence. Here is one last example. Fossil fuels pollute the environment. However, oil is still a major source of energy. Now, you may remember in our structure lesson that we were talking about topic sentences and support and example sentences. Compound sentences are very useful for your support sentences, as you can add extra information. Now, onto our second sentence type, which is an embedded clause. I've often heard of these sentence types being referred to as hamburger sentences, and by the end of this section of the lesson, you'll understand why. Here is an example of a simple sentence. Many teenagers have a part-time job to save extra money. Now, I'd like to add more detail to this sentence and maybe say something about what kind of jobs teenagers have. I'm going to put this right in the middle of this sentence. Let's see the example of an embedded clause now. Many teenagers have a part-time job, which is often poorly paid, to save extra money. Can you see how some people consider this to be a hamburger sentence? If we think of the black part of this sentence, that could be our bread, and the red part in the middle is our meat. It's very important to note that there are two commas separating the clauses. The examiner will 100% make sure that you've included both of those commas, as well as your full stop and capital letter. Now, because I'm talking about a job, which is an object or thing, I start my embedded clause with which. But if your embedded clause is talking about a person or people, you start it with who. Let's see an example of that now. Many teenagers who are studying full-time have a part-time job to save extra money. Now, my bread, or the writing in black, does not change, but I've simply changed the clause or the meat, which is the writing in red. Try using one of these in your essay. Let's move on to our third sentence type, which is complex sentences. Now, if you don't already know, complex means something that contains a few linked parts or is also difficult to understand. But there's nothing too difficult to understand about a complex sentence, and they will definitely score you extra marks in your essay. Here's an example of a simple sentence. Policemen work long hours with little time for breaks in the day. So that's one complete idea, but because I'm doing my IELTS Writing Task 2 essay, I want to add a little bit more detail. It's important with a complex sentence to remember that commas are hugely important, much like an embedded clause. Let me show you a complex sentence now. Policemen work for long hours with little time for breaks in the day or at any time. The writing in black is a complete whole sentence, whereas our extra clause, which is in red, would not make sense on its own. Therefore, this clause needs to be added to a full sentence, which gives us a complex sentence, and it helps us to add extra detail to our writing. Let's see another example. Policemen work for long hours with little time for breaks in the day, adding to their stress and poor health. By adding this extra clause at the end of a full sentence, we've shown the examiner that we can use a range of sentence structures, which will definitely help us to score higher marks in the IELTS Task 2 test. But it's important to use a mix of these sentence types and not to use one too many times. As a little test at the end of the lesson, I've prepared a quiz for you, so let's go straight to that. Here I have 3 sentences, and you need to choose what kind of sentence each one is, whether that's compound, embedded, or a complex sentence. Let's read through each of these sentences. Teachers are working hard to help young children, who often come from poor backgrounds, to improve their standard of living. Museums and art galleries can teach people about culture, and therefore the government should increase funding to them. Wearing fashionable clothes is the choice of the individual person, whatever their tastes may be. So, pause the video and try and choose each of these sentences' sentence type. Okay, now you have done that, let's talk about the first sentence. This is actually an embedded clause. We can see the 2 commas and the extra clause or the meat put into the middle of this sentence. Sentence 2 is actually a compound sentence, as we can clearly see the connective linking words and therefore. And finally, sentence 3 is of course a complex sentence, as we can see a comma and a short clause added at the end. So that's all for our grammar lesson for IELTS Writing Task 2. I hope that you found these 3 sentence types useful, and I know that if you can practice using them and use them well with the correct punctuation, then you'll definitely score higher marks in your Task 2 essay. In the next few lessons, we'll be looking at some model answers for IELTS Task 2. See you there.